Hello my friend, with the continual rise of AI plugins and assistants in our home studio, does this mark the end of analog emulating plugins and indeed the way that we approach mixing entirely? Let's dive straight in. One thing's for sure, technology has been moving really quickly over recent years, but if you've been mixing for a while, you're going to be pretty used to that because throughout all of the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s, technology has been accelerating and changing the way that we mix from our home studios at such a crazy rate. But the introduction of AI plugins, websites, and assistants just feels that little bit different from any other technological change that we've gone through. And I guess that's because this time it feels like it's taking something away and none of us really know where that ceiling is and how much it can take away from an art form that we love. And everything really seems to have started with mastering, with companies like iZotope and Lander moving into online mastering and developing plugins that will do the job for us and lighten the load and take a lot of the cost and price out of something like mastering, which was super crazy expensive when you go back to like the 90s, certainly if you were working on your own from your home studio. So in a lot of ways, it's lightened the load, it's enabled us to get a fast, quality master. Of course, on the flip side, the sad thing is that the art of mastering, to a large degree, may well have been lost. There, of course, is a balance there. There's an argument to be had there, but I have to say I use Lander all the time. I've used a lot of online mastering previously as well, and it's a great fit for me because by the time I finished mixing, I never really wanted to have to get involved with mastering too. And if I was working on my own, paying for an external masterer just didn't make sense. That was going to eat into my client budget. And on the flip side of things, my ears were just so shot and tired by the time I've ended a mix that doing the mastering kind of didn't stack up and make an immense amount of sense. That's where these AI mastering plugins and online sites have absolutely nailed the market share. And they're getting better and better and better. But where does that leave mixing? Companies like iZotope haven't just stuck at Ozone for AI mastering, but have moved into mixing too with great products like Neutron, which can do so much for you. It's not just iZotope, these AI plugins are popping up all over the place. So does this mean the end of analog emulations and a workflow emulation, if you like, which harks back to yesteryear, which harks back to the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s? What I'm getting at is if all of that know-how was condensed down into one knob, which you just dialed in on your bass guitar, your electric guitar, your vocals, to the point that you liked it, what's the point of learning how to mix anymore? What I feel is probably going to happen is some kind of echo of the past. I'm thinking back to the 80s when digital technology started to be introduced into electric guitars, and there was a lot of electric guitar manufacturers that were getting concerned, or they were thinking this is going to be the death of the Stratocaster, the death of Les Paul. And what kind of happened was electric guitar buyers and players voted with their wallets. They didn't want to buy the new crazy style digital electric guitars. They wanted the Strats, they wanted the Tellys, they wanted the Les Pauls, and that's pretty much stayed constant. But what guitarists did embrace was the technology elsewhere. They didn't want the Strats and the Tellys and the Les Pauls being played with. That was the classic bread and butter. That was the point of playing the instrument. But they enjoyed the technological advances on foot pedals and digital racks and effects units, and indeed in more later years than using virtual amps too in the recording stage. And you could equate that to home recording and mixing and AI advances. In essence, what I kind of think we might be saying is, look, we want to keep our consoles, we want to keep our hands on the faders, and we like having control over our DAWs, but if you can help us a bit with AI, then that's okay. Just keep your hands off my LA2A. Hey my friend, just interrupting this video for a moment to let you know about a free vocal EQ cheat sheet. It's not AI, it's a PDF, and you can download it for free below this video. Then throughout the late 90s and into the early 2000s, we saw a lot of recording studios closing down, but a huge boom in home studio production. Then, of course, following after that, we kind of saw the total collapse of the recording industry with the rise of Napster and sites like MySpace coming through. So whilst you could no longer get a record deal, you could self-publicize yourself and get your own music out there without the middleman anymore. So what we've seen over those decades is when new technology is being introduced, we see musicians and creatives following the river and finding their own path to introduce this, while still having a good knowledge of the skills required that have been passed down through the decades. After all, with all these wonderful plugins that are available emulating analog style hardware, we still see a lot of popularity in hardware. They're still getting manufactured. We still hear a lot of engineers talking about how they prefer to use hardware. And indeed what we see a lot of the time now is more of a hybrid situation. The convenience of using plugins whilst having favourite pieces of hardware in studios. I saw an article recently featuring lyricists and their concern about ChatGPT and how you can simply type in "write me a song in the style of Elliott Smith" and in a few seconds there you go, there's your lyrics. And whilst I totally understand their concern, there does kind of come a point where you think, well, but what is the point? The point of writing songs or poetry is to get something out, to convey to another human being, to make yourself feel better. It can be really cathartic to write lyrics and to write poetry. We're definitely going to lose something there. Yes, there may well be a bit of a market for somebody that just isn't interested in writing lyrics whatsoever, but I still feel like there's a big place for lyricists and for lyrics in terms of that human connection. That kind of brings me back round to mixing. The big question is, where is this ceiling? Where is it going to top out? Where is the balance going to be this time? Where are musicians and mixers and home studio enthusiasts and recording artists going to find that balance? Where is it going to be? And I guess one of the big concerns is, how far will AI take things? How good can AI get? And when it comes to recording and mixing music, will there come a point where AI matches or surpasses the most skilled individuals in our industry? The truth is, I guess, that none of us really know. Until then, right now, I'm going to continue using AI style plugins as kind of a mixing assistants in my home studio. That's where I find they have their place, doing jobs and often rather mundane ones which just improve my workflow. I guess if history has taught us anything, it's that throughout this whole technological revolution and all the changes that we've gone through and embraced, it's still key that we hold on to, respect the knowledge and the skills and the know-how required to get good at the art form of producing, recording, mixing and mastering music. And whilst we continue to dive through the Pandora's box of AI, I think it's crucial that we as musicians and producers and mixers remember that. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comments box below. What are your thoughts on AI? What AI plugins are you using? How are you using it? Do you fear what's going to happen in the future? I want to hear from you. Let's open up this conversation. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It super helps my channel. Don't forget also to grab your free vocal EQ cheat sheet. The link is below this video. And if you enjoyed this one, you definitely want to check this next video out.